a doctor's note.
Oh, okay.
I'll read it.
For the airtime?
Yes. To whom it may concern, please use Pete in more sketches where he gets to kiss the host. And use more of his rap videos, which I hear are actually really good.
Last week, voters rejected the Houston Equal Rights Ordinance, which would have required businesses to allow transgender people access to the bathroom of their gender identity. Here with more on this is Pete Davidson.
Yeah, so apparently this anti-discrimination law was voted down because some people claim it's just an excuse to allow guys in women's restrooms. You know, the theory is that men, in their relentless quest to watch women go to the bathroom, are going through years of hormones, surgery, changing their name, their wardrobe, coming out to their family, all for that big payoff of peeing in a room without urinals. What is this fantasy that they think is going on in there? There's no shirtless pillow fights. There's no disco ball. I grew up with a mom and a sister, so, like, I know a little something about sharing a room, like a bathroom with women. It sucks. Nobody wants to hang out in there. Last week, I accidentally walked in on my mom on the toilet, and I don't think we're ever gonna speak again. Even if for some reason you're desperate to use women's bathrooms, you don't need a sex change to do it. You can just walk in. There's no bouncer. The door's right there. Seriously, I've been using the ladies' room here to poop for like the last 2 months.
Yeah, we've actually gotten a lot of complaints.
Yeah, from me. It's filthy in there. I thought girls were supposed to be the clean ones. It looks like a man made out of toilet paper was murdered in there.
Then why do you keep using it?
Because it's the only bathroom that has Wi-Fi, and Cecily has a beautiful singing voice. That was my favorite line. Look, you know why I'm not worried about a woman in the men's room? Because every sporting event I've ever been to, a girl has bursted in and said, "Line's too long, I'm peeing in here." And guess what? It didn't ruin my pooping experience. If anything, it's the only reason I wash my hands.
Pete Davidson, everyone.
Earlier this month, courts ordered the website Gawker to pay Hulk Hogan $140 million for releasing the sex tape of the pro wrestler without his consent. With more on this is Pete Davidson.
Good. Thanks, Mike.
You're welcome, Pete.
So, I understand that this was like an invasion of Hulk's privacy and he deserved compensation, but $140 million? Do you realize that makes Hulk Hogan the world's highest paid porn star? By $139 million? That means, like, the court thinks he lost $140 million in future earnings because of the damage this caused to his reputation. He's a senior citizen who used to oil himself up and pretend to fight immigrants in his undies. What job opportunities has he lost? Like, plus, he even admitted that he knew he was being recorded, which I find hard to believe because he's not that good an actor. There's no way he does a whole sex scene without pretending once that his junk is knocked out and he has to hulk it up to finish the job. You're telling me that that tape is more embarrassing than him playing Thunder Lips in Rocky III? I think he's just mad because this tape proved that he was lying when he said he had a 10-inch penis. Yeah, it turns out it's a mere 7, which in my experiences is a good 4 inches more than anyone needs.
It's good.
What? It's how you use it. Hey, I do okay. Right? Sure. Well, you wouldn't know. Colin, right? Look, at the end of the day, it's just a tape of two, adults having consensual sex. So why are we slut-shaming Hulk Hogan? Like, why do we slut-shame anyone? Because that's a real problem. I mean, like, why do guys make fun of women for doing something we spend every night praying that they'll do to us? Like, we gotta stop making girls feel bad about having sex with random guys, or they'll stop having sex with random guys. Are you idiots? Is that the world you want to live in? Millions of repressed, horny dudes, desperate for physical contact, never growing out of their childhood, wearing costumes into their 30s and play fighting each other. Oh my God, that's where wrestling fans come from.
But why does Hogan's settlement bother you so much?
Because, like, I've had my own sex tape out for months, and, like, I can't even afford to, like, park my car in Manhattan.
You put out a sex tape?
Yeah, and I can't get a single website, like, to post. I'm not even asking for 100 million. I'll take, like, $4 grand. Like, I don't want to have to leave my mom, you know, my car at my mom's house anymore. Hook me up, Gawker. Like...
But Pete, wouldn't that be unfair to the other person in the video with you?
Other person? Oh, that's why they're not posting it.
Pete Davidson, everybody.
Google it. It's a good tape.
It's a good tape.
It's a good tape.
All this week, confirmation hearings are taking place for Donald Trump's cabinet nominees, and here to quickly sort them out in a new segment called First Impressions is Pete Davidson.
Hey, Jay. How you doing? All right. So, Donald Trump has made about 20 different picks for his cabinet, and Democrats don't like any of them. You knew we were in trouble when every liberal in America was like, "Come on, Mitt Romney!" Look, I don't know everything about politics, or anything for that matter, but I'm a pretty good judge of people based on my first impression, so here we go. For Attorney General, Trump picked Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions, a man who looks like Dobby from Harry Potter. Wished to be a real boy. Next, we've got the nominee for Treasury, metrosexual Apple Genius Bar worker, Steven Mnuchin. He's a Goldman Sachs guy worth over $1 billion. A long time ago, he was like, when I have $1 billion, women will have sex with me. And now he's like, maybe $1 trillion. Next is Trump's nominee for Housing and Urban Development, Ben Carson. Trump thinks Carson should be in charge of housing because he lived in the projects as a child. Really? If you're an expert on wherever you were born, does that mean I could be secretary of the Honda Civic? Sorry, Mom. For Secretary of Commerce, the pick is Wilbur Ross. I've heard this guy's a billionaire investor, but I'm pretty sure I've seen him sitting on Jeff Dunham's lap. I knew I recognized him.
Just like it.
Yeah. Trump's pick for Secretary of Labor is a guy named Andrew Puzder. If you've ever wondered what Michael Fassbender would look like if he played Lex Luthor, wonder no more. Puzder was the CEO of Hardee's, and now he's going to be in charge of all the workers in America. You know how I know that's a bad idea? Because this is the first time you've heard the word Hardee's in 15 years. And then there's Eric Trump. You know, this guy's not in Trump's cabinet, but I couldn't resist. His hair says 1985, but his face screams, "Put the lotion in the basket!"
Pete Davidson, First Impressions, everybody.
Put the lotion in the basket!
Each week brings a new controversy for President Trump, as well as another person who has to defend them to the media. Here to sort them out is Pete Davidson with his First Impressions.
Defending President Trump is a really tough job, and a couple weeks ago they brought out this guy, Trump spokesperson and James Bond villain Stephen Miller. Poor Steve. He tries to project strength, but he looks like Fredo Corleone had been even sicker as a child. Still, you have to give him credit. He's made it pretty far for a guy who was in high school voted most likely to have a cigar box full of missing girls' driver's licenses. He lasted about a week. Then they got to Deputy White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who's one of those sweet Southern girls that you marry if you're gay. I like that one. So now, members of Congress try to defend Trump, like the head of the House Committee on Oversight, Jason Chaffetz. You probably remember when he played Simple Jack from the movie Tropic Thunder. Another person forced to defend Trump is Paul Ryan, who got to be the House Speaker after someone waved a magic wand over a ventriloquist dummy. All the Republicans wanted Paul Ryan to come up with something to replace Obamacare, and now that he did, everybody hates it. And I know what this is like, because for years, people have been asking me to quit drugs and get sober. And now that I have, everyone thinks I'm unfunny and boring. And hey, at least I have dreams now, and I've started waking up with boners again. Thank you. Hard as a rock.
All right, man.
But now, no one. Well, maybe not as great as yours, but whatever. Sorry. But, you know. Sorry. But no one defends Trump better than Fox News. And it starts every morning with Fox and Friends. This is Donald Trump's favorite show because they trade in for a new blonde every 2 years. And this year's model is Ainsley Earnhardt, who looks like she's with her dad's friends who keep talking about how much she's grown. Of course, the king of Trump supporters is Sean Hannity. He looks like a thumb, which explains why he's so far up Trump's ass. Thank you. I hate him too. I guess he likes Trump because his hair is also really weird and like the top of his head looks like two eyebrows got to live their dream of like being hair.
Ah, so that's what it is. Pete Davidson, everybody.
We'll get with boners again.
The Weekend Update. I'm Colin Jost.
What's up, Michael? Check the name.
Good night. There's also been a national conversation this week about mental health. Here to share his thoughts on this topic is Pete Davidson.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin. Oh, thanks. Well, as some of you may know, I was recently diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, a form of depression. And depression affects more than like 16 million people in this country, and there's no like cure per se, but for anyone dealing with it, there are treatments that can help. First of all, if you think you're depressed, you know, see a doctor and talk to them about medication, and also be healthy. Eating right and exercise can make a huge difference. And finally, if you're in the cast of a late-night comedy show, it might help if they, you know, do more of your sketches.
I'm sorry, wait, are you saying that you're depressed because you're not getting enough airtime?
Oh, no. I was born depressed, but it might make me feel better if I was on TV more.
I don't know if this is maybe the best solution.
I mean, it's worth a shot. I mean, come on. The show was like 8 hours long, and there's like 50 sketches a week. It seems weird you wouldn't use one of them to fight mental illness, but I guess that's not your style.
All right, well, maybe one approach might be to write more sketches for yourself, Pete.
That won't work. My sketches suck because they're all written by a depressed person. Lauren said that.
So it's sort of like a chicken and the egg thing. Yeah.
Exactly. In fact, chicken and the egg was also one of my sketch ideas that got rejected. It was about a chicken that ate eggs, but it was also about Black Lives Matter.
That sounds terrible.
It is. So I need you to, like, write it for me.
Wait, you haven't even written it yet?
No, I'm, like, depressed. Look, here, I have a doctor's note.
Oh, good.
I'll read it.
For the airtime?
Yes. To whom it may concern, please use Pete in more sketches where he gets to kiss the host. And use more of his rap videos, which I hear are actually really good. Also, this doctor's good, man.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
Sounds like a real doctor.
Also, he should play Rex Tillerson a lot. Signed, Pete Davidson's doctor.
Okay, well, that sounds legit. That sounds like a legit doctor's note, Pete. Also, I would like to point out, Pete, that you look nothing like Rex Tillerson.
So give me a mask. Like, what? He looks like a Muppet fell in a lake. And that's just one of the many jokes you'll see next week on Pete Davidson's First Impressions segment.
Pete Davidson, everyone.